Welcome everybody to the final round of the BMW M2 Cup Championship. We are here at Kyalami for what is set to be an action-packed finale. Hello everybody, I am RCI Tim Peck. I'm joined today by Miguel Martins and Christian Schicker on the broadcast tour. And well, Miguel, let's just get right into it. Who are you giving it to today? Who do you think is going to stand out in this final race?
Well, I mean, I'd say, honestly, Chamberlain, he's been doing really, really well. Same with Robin Schaefer. Christopher Verstrappen, he's been strong. He's not had the highest finishes, but he's had some of the best overtakes, I'd say. So if he can qualify it up there, I think it will be his race, perhaps.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think Verstrappen is someone who we see come across in a lot of championships. They always hit those higher positions, but I think in this BMW one, it's taken them a while just to get used to the car, really, and warm up to the feel of it. So I think Verstrappen is someone today who I'd like to see get a good quality lap in, put themselves up towards the top, if not on pole, and then have a good couple of races. For those of you that are new to this championship, we will be having two races today. One is a 20-minute race, and then we will be followed by a 40-minute race afterwards, which is worth double the points. So, I mean, it's all to play for in both races, but if you want to do well in one race, you want to make sure it is that second one, because that is where you're going to be reeling in the points. And, well, we're already into it. This is the quali, and as you can see, everyone is just flying out of the garage. They want to be in the best position on the track, and you can see, coming out of the pits, neck and neck already.
Yeah, it is only a 10-minute qualifying, and with these cars, because they're slower, you have a longer out lap, you have a longer flying lap, so to say. So, yeah, these 10 minutes, you have maybe 3-4 laps to put in a good time. And with these cars, you start with cold tires, you don't have tire warmers, so, only by the second fast lap do you actually have good tires.
Yeah, I think that's something that surprised me at the beginning of the championship. We were talking about, like you just said, you only really get 3-4 laps in the qualifying to set that ideal lap, but you don't even really get that. We found out that the tyres, they're not warm enough at the end of the out lap. You need the second lap to continue to warm them up, and by the end of the qualifying, you've probably only had one, maybe two shots at an actual good lap that's not been interrupted. We're currently watching Tom Watts, who I believe might have been first out of the pit lane, but you can see already having to fight just to stay ahead of the car behind. And I mean, this is the other thing we talked about, is you want to be leading the pack. You want to be the car at the front, because in these cars, if you get held up in the slightest, it's really, you're going to feel it on the acceleration. You're not going to be able to get up to the pace you want to quickly. So Tom Watts here fighting to stay ahead of Pedro Marquez, and we will see if they are able to do so as they're just coming round the second sector now into the final sector. I've got to say, Miguel, I'm really excited to see how it turns out today. And I think this qualifying session, you can already see Marquez going for a move around the outside. They're fighting for this position. And Miguel, I think today's is going to be total chaos based on quali so far.
I mean, this is just their out lap, and they're already fighting tooth and nail for track position. I mean, if this is foreshadowing for the race, I think it will be a very, very good race.
I mean, the thing that's getting me here as well is Watts is in the silver split and Marquez is in the pro split. So they're not even fighting in the same split here, but that's not stopping Watts from holding on to their position. I mean, we saw them batting it into the final corner. I thought maybe Watts might just back out and accept, it's better to have the space than anything. But nope, Tom Watts, he's holding on to that position he wants on the track dearly, and he's going to continue here to lead Marquez through the first couple of corners. And I gotta say, I think an accident's about to happen, but we'll see here, because it looks like I'd have thought one of them would have dropped out by now, just accepted that they've got to get in some quick laps. I'm not sure if we're going to see that, because that 128 car continuing to try and push their way through, despite the fact both cars are now on a hot lap.
Yeah, I'd expect Marx to just fall back, except that he's not getting through Tom Watts. Tom Watts is not going to give him the position and just create the gap. I mean, this first fast lap, and there you go.
Oh,
there you
no.
go. That'll be, well, that's another incident.
Oh, that's going to cause a bit of a problem, I think, between those two drivers. I agree with what you were saying. Mark should have backed out there way sooner. I mean, they did. They tried to fight on the outlap to get first out of the corner. They didn't quite have it. What's held on to the outside line? I think that should have been Marx's sort of signal to back up a bit, give yourself some room. They had a huge gap behind them. It was about 6-7 seconds. You've got room to play with there. Just back off a little bit, give yourself some space. But Marx is going to spell the end of that battle already, spinning Watts out, putting them back to the pits. And I'll tell you what, Tom Watts is the one that's going to come off the worst here. Has to do yet another outlap, and with only 6 minutes of qualifying remaining. Miguel, I don't think they're going to get an ideal lap in. I think they might get one shot, maybe right at the end of quali, but that's it. They're going to have one shot at that perfect lap, and they just got to hope they do it.
Yeah, it's a shame for Tom Watts. He's the one in front. He is the one that needs to, that he keeps the position. It's the passing driver, the driver behind, that has to create the space. And he can't just attack like that. That is very, very naughty from Pedro Marques. And well, if this is reported to the stewards, I don't think it'll be a light penalty, to be honest.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think that will be one that will be reported to the stewards swiftly, and I think they'll have a bit of a look at it. Looking at how the rest of the qualifying is going, though, Verstrappen is currently holding provisional pole ahead of Schaefer. Now, they're split up by about 1/10 of a second, so there's not a lot in it right now. And surprisingly, in third currently is Jan Yo in the AM split, has just been pushed down a place by Martin Lawrence. But Jan Yo has done an absolutely phenomenal first lap in this qualifying session so far. They're going to continue as well to improve on their time. So, I mean, that's something that we've seen all season, is the benefit of starting with a couple of cars in a different split between you and your nearest competitor. And someone who's definitely been taking advantage of that every single race is Jan Yo. We've seen so many times they've started maybe 3-4 cars up the next person in that AM split, and it's helped them to defend for, I'd say, a good first portion of the race. And of course, by the time the next person to find does catch up, they've wasted all of their tyre grip and they're struggling to overtake Yo. So Yo here will be happy if they can bring home just the 5th place that they've now fallen into after Vigstu set a good lap. I'd take it. If I was in Jan Yo's position, I'm smiling right now.
Yeah, I bet he's a happy man in that car, to be honest. And I mean, he is quite a lot ahead of his championship rival, Phil Roberts, who's done 18th right now, 19th even. So from 8th to 19th, that's quite a lot of positions. But look at that in 11th, and Janyo also improves. I mean, as we can see here, everything is going up and down right now. A lot of people crossing the line. Everyone's improving their times as the tires start to warm up. Chamberlain is actually on provisional pole with a 56.1.
I was going to say, speaking of things being very up and down in qualifying, Chamberlain has just set the fastest time, and it's not that close either. There's there's 0.375 to Verstrappen behind, so Harley Chamberlain going to be extremely happy with how their fastest lap has gone. And Verstrappen's actually currently in the pits, so I'm not sure they're going to be able to get out with enough time to set a lap that will be fast enough to counter. They are leaving the pits now. Verstrappen's going to try and come back out on the track, but I think Verstrappen might have to try and do something special here if they want to get back into that pole position. Currently, we've got Heilmann just behind Verstrappen and Schaefer behind Heilmann as well. And I think that's the thing for the top splits day, is what happens with Schaefer. Schaefer has dominated nearly every single race of this championship so far. The only one that they didn't win at was Bathurst in round 2, where they had a couple of problems. So Schaefer right now has a huge gap of points in that pro split that they've got to defend, but we've seen it in previous championships, Miguel. It could all disappear in this race. They need to make sure they finish today, and preferably in one of those higher up positions, just to keep that points barrier up. So for all the cars on the track today, just make sure you finish, because those extra points you get for finishing, they will matter when we tally up the results.
Yes, and another quirk of this championship is I believe that this is the first RCI championship that features a drop round. So your worst result at the end of the season will be dropped. Either that's a sign out or just really bad race that you had. those will not count towards your points, and that will affect the entire grid. So, well, Verstrappen, Schaefer, I mean, they have to get a very, very quick lap to beat Chamberlain. I mean, Hellman, even. He might be the best contender for pole position at this point. That's what I think.
Well, we have seen Harman show up a couple of times in this championship already. I remember back in the first round, it was Suzuka, I believe, and Harman looked like one of the really fighty cars at the front. And continuously throughout this championship, they have been fighting for those podium spots. And I think they might have finished on it 3, maybe 4 times out of the 8 races we've had. So a good 50%, I'd say. And that's where you want to be, especially if you're Harman right now. You're just land on that podium as much as possible, keep bringing those points up, and as you said, with a drop round, your worst result gets removed. That's going to really help some of these drivers that maybe have had a one-off bad round where they've crashed, they've had an unfortunate incident where they've not been able to finish the race, or they've just simply not been able to show up because they've had other commitments. That drop round is really going to help them stay competitive in this championship, and I think we can thank that for how close some parts of this championship is. I'm not sure if you've seen, but we'll be showing the rest of the audience here in a minute after qualifying is over. But silver, the gap between first and second, currently just 7 points.
Yes, it's been a very close season in every category, pro, silver, and NAM. It's just it's all coming down to the wire, and this is what we love to see. In these spec series, it's all down to the drivers, and they're doing the best they can, and we get to see it all unfold.
Well, we're coming into the end of qualifying right now. It looks like Chamberlain may be holding on to pole here. Depends if anyone else is able to improve. We're going to watch Schaefer as they finish off their final lap. They are currently up on their time. It's not enough to put them on pole just yet, but if they can hold it together, maybe find a little bit more time in the last couple of corners here, that might be enough just to push them up into that pole spot that they want. So we'll continue to watch Schaefer as they come across the line, but currently you see Harman's ended their quality. They're going to be enough for 4th right now. It's a good spot for Harman to start in. Kladke in silver, they're going to start 2nd place in silver and 9th overall, and that's a great place for them starting too. So we've got a lot of good results here currently as Schaefer crosses the line, puts themselves up into 4th, giving Verstrappen the pole position for the pro split. But I'll tell you what, Harley Chamberlain bringing in pole position in the final race in the silver split with, what's this, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gap to the next car in their split behind, and Jan Yo in 8th as well with another 8-car gap to their nearest rival. I mean, there are people shining out there already, Miguel, and I think Chamberlain and Yo, they're taking the top spots today.
Yeah, they really are. It's just outstanding qualifying, and as we know, this qualifying will carry over into race 2 as well. So, race 1 you'll get a sprint, and it will be very, very good to see if Chamberlain, maybe he can keep that spot. If Chamberlain can finish first, well, that'll be amazing.
That would be a great result indeed. Well, we're now going to look at how the standings are looking before we go into this first sprint race here. This is the pro standing. Schaefer, with a huge point lead at the moment, is in 1st place, 296 points. Martin Lawrence in 2nd has 222. Pedro Marks, we saw them getting a bit of calamity earlier during qualifying. They are currently rounding out that top 3 spots. Marco Ripper, he's in 4th. Heilman is in 5th, currently just 7 points behind. Wolf Machuska, 4 points behind, is in 6th. Vigshu comes in 7th place. Svensson is in 8th. They're just 1 point ahead of Christoph Verstrappen, who will be leading the Pro Pack today, and Rosu will round out the top 10. Dvorak is in 11th place, followed by Tornberg. They are both tied on points. Andy Boardman's in 13th. Jordan Daly in 14th, just 2 points behind. And Kalasiad, with 3 points behind them, is in 15th place. And the rest have all signed out of the championship.
In the silver split, we have Early Chamberlain leading the field with 198 points, but Bart Mattia only 7 points behind. And 2 points behind them Borodai. So it is very close at the top of silver. Next up, we have Maximins in fourth, Matteo Sadaki in fifth, Cal Tate in sixth, Jackson in seventh, Peter Roche eighth, John Eraser ninth, and Aaron Jackson brings out your top 10. Now in 11th, we have Molier, followed by Frank, and very closely followed by Martin van der Zun, followed by Tom Watts and Nico Kuzma. All the rest have signed out of the championship.
Well, we'll see how things are now down in the AM split. Jan Yo leads the pack with 273 points. Bill Roberts in second place has had a great day so far today, but will be looking to climb some positions in race 1 and 2. Tom Bryan will be in third place. They're 2 points ahead of John Schultz. Fifth place is Atta. They're 1 point ahead of Byron, who is behind. Mike Redford, they're currently 7th, 2 points ahead of Ryan Gill. Lucas Batiati is on 9th with 100 points. And Vonjo round out the top 10. So things are also looking very close in the AM standings at the moment. Down in the bottom half of AM, we've got Stefan Miller. They're currently in 11th place, 3 points ahead of Brokima, who's in 12th with 74 points. Daniel Grove, he's got 44 points. He's in 13th place. M. Young in 14th, and Lebackley will be looking for a points finish today. They're in 15th. The rest have all signed out of the championship. And I mean, right, Miguel, looking at those standings, we have a very tight fight across all three splits at the moment. I mean, it could go either way today. There could be one DNF could be everyone fighting for a spot in this race. So it's all to play for in all three championships currently running so far as the cars are about to go onto their outlap for race 1. Well, Miguel, I asked you this kind of already, and you gave the answer of Chamberlain. Chamberlain is looking very, very good still right now. Who are you looking at today for a good finish?
Well, Chamberlain. That's one. I was expecting him to be up there and leading the silver pack, but to get pole, well, I just wasn't expecting that. Same with Schaefer in fourth. I was expecting Schaefer to be higher up there, but fourth place, you're still high up. If he doesn't get caught up with too many battles, he could be fighting for first in just a couple of laps. Christopher Verstrappen, you've seen his attack style. The way he attacks people, he tries to get the position, he tries to get into your head. He fakes the moves, and he always gets it done. So we'll just have to see how Chamberlain can defend into turn 1 and how Christopher can attack.
Yeah, I think Chamberlain's got a good opportunity here. They'll be leading the pack out of the first corner. I think Chamberlain, their job here today is just try not to lose too many positions, so you still have that buffer. Verstappen, though, like you said, we know how good a taking driver he is. Very, very aggressive going into corners, but always gets the move done. So Verstappen will be putting pressure on Chamberlain from the beginning. Well, for those of you that watched qualifying and know the fight that happened on track between Marks and Tom Watts, well, here's how it's all wound up. Marks currently down in 12th place, not going to be happy with that result because they would have wanted to have been fighting at the top of their split, but who's not going to be happy is Tom Watts, who didn't get a lap time in and will be starting in 24th out of the 25 cars on track. So they have got a long way to climb before they're going to be even fighting someone in their split. So that's how that's spelled out. And well, if the qualifying's anything to go by, I think we're going to see some very, very aggressive racing here, Miguel, into turn 1.
Yeah, very aggressive, and these cars, them all being the same. We'll just have to see who's the latest of the late breakers. Who's gonna get the move done? And I believe there won't be any incidents in turn 1, but there will be in turn 2. Because don't forget, turn 1 is the actual kink on the straight.
Oh, you're
Turn
one of
2,
those.
turn 2, that's where the heavy braking zone is.
The great
And
debate is that turn 1. Is it the kink in the straight, or is it the big turn afterwards. I mean, I do agree with you as well. We have debates like this all the time when Jesse Lee used to be on. Was what is turn 1 on Kyalami, and I have to agree, it is going to be that kink in the straight. Well, we're coming on to that start-finish straight now. Cars all trying to just slot into their positions. Who is going to be better off the bat? Is it going to be Chamberlain, or will Verstrappen get a better acceleration going into turn 1? We're about to find out as race 1 comes underway now. It looks like Chamberlain's had an amazing start, already pulling away from Verstrappen, who's had to slot in behind. They're going to have to defend from Lawrence and Schaefer behind, who already are putting pressure on Verstrappen themselves. Verstrappen has gone to the inside to defend for the second corner here. Chamberlain going to hold on, and it looks like Lawrence here going for a move round the outside of Verstrappen, going to try and hold it into the next set of corners. It looks like they might have it done, because Verstrappen not looking too hot on the acceleration right now, struggling to stay neck and neck with Lawrence coming round the fourth corner. Looks like Martin Lawrence is going to have the better end of the stick, is ahead of Verstrappen, and Schaefer now following through as well. This has not been the start Verstrappen was looking for, Miguel.
It really has not, but what a start from Chamberlain. I'm sorry, but that was... He was just on the dot, getting on the power early and just leaving everyone behind for that. We saw great racing between Lawrence and Verstrappen, and Verstrappen's already dropped to fourth, with Schaefer behind in third, or ahead in third, apologies.
Well, Harman is already putting pressure on Verstrappen now. They're trying to find their way through, go neck and neck into the hairpin corner. It looks like Verstrappen might just be able to hold on to this one for now, but Harman not going to give up. We know they're very, very feisty in this BMW Cup car, and they're going to continue to really get as close to Verstrappen as possible. Nose almost touching the rear of Verstrappen's car, looking for a move round the outside here. Verstrappen will be ahead before the corner, so will be able to defend a little bit longer. But as we were saying, Verstrappen not getting the start they wanted. Looks like they're just struggling to pick up the pace in the Cup cars. They actually went wide there. Looks like that might have been an opportunity for Harman to strike on Verstrappen. We'll see if they manage to do that in a minute, but Simon's just trying to go for a move currently on a race around the outside. Are they going to make the move on the Calatayud? Looks like Calatayud will be able to defend from Simons, but neck and neck going down the start-finish straight. Actually, Simons looks like they're going to be through just before the kink. They're going to have the advantage going into this first corner here and slotting ahead of the number 30 car. The number 28 will go, and it looks like now it's in Calatayud's boots to try and make a return move going into the second corner, but Simons looking so confident in the green BMW, going to stay ahead for now. We've had some brilliant racing in this first lap, and what surprised me is the accidents have been minimal. There was one, but it was Tom Bryant, and it looks like they're currently thinking as Schaefer goes for a move down the inside of Lawrence. Looks like they're going to be able to hold it together as well, almost making contact coming out of the corner. Lawrence still there though, going to be able to return the aggression onto the next corner. Schaefer though not willing to give up this move, going to continue to push through and will come out ahead. So that is the move for second place there. Schaefer getting through the person with the fastest lap, showing that they are ready to chase down Chamberlain, who already has a 7/10 gap to the next car behind.
Yeah, Chamberlain has been doing a very good job of just putting in the lap times, putting in the consistency, not making many mistakes, just letting the people behind him fight and lose time. I mean, that was a very, very good move from Schaefer to get past Lawrence, and well, look who's just behind him, Benjamin Heilman. He's made it past Christopher Verstrappen, and well, now he wants more. Fourth is not enough for this man.
He does want more indeed. Going to continue to chase down the cars ahead, looking currently at the rear of Lawrence and Schaefer as well, trying to find a way through both of them, but they're currently fighting it out too, as Lawrence has not dropped off Schaefer yet and will be wanting that second position back. Chamberlain going to be smiling away to themselves right now with a 1.2 second gap to Schaefer behind. Looks like Svensson here is going for a move on Marks. Will they be able to pull it off? They're very close right now. Svensson's looking for a move on the inside. Marks going to be a little later on the brake, so will propel them around the corner a bit quicker, helping to keep up that momentum, which we know is key in these BMW Cup cars. It is all about keeping up that momentum. The second you lose the momentum is the second you start to struggle. It's exactly what we saw with Verstappen at the beginning. It's exactly what we're seeing now with Phil Roberts, who's just had a bit of an accident coming out of the corner. It looks like they've spun round, sending cars in all directions, trying to take themselves off the centre line of the track. We'll be able to start up again, but Phil Roberts, hoping for a good result today to help chase down Jan Yo, gonna fall back in the pack and will be looking to climb from here.
Well, here as we see the replay of the incident that took out Tom Bryant, and it, yeah, just a little bit of contact through the S's, and that was enough. Cars were already upset from going over the curbs. Just that little bit, well, that did it.
Yeah, I think that was rather tame.
Yeah, but it's good to see Tom Bryant. He's still carrying on. He's not giving up.
That's Tom Bryant for you. We'll have a bit of a bad spin in the car and we'll continue with the race no matter what. I mean, like I said, if you finish, that is points. Tom Bryant is going to scoop up all of the points just to keep fighting in this championship. Jan Yo, very early on the brakes there, as I believe Daly almost went into the rear of Yo's car there, just managing to avoid it, but Yo is struggling to hold off the cars behind, currently just trying to hold off Daly. Hladky has managed to find their way through, but Jan Yo has got a huge buffer to the split behind as Daly is spun out by Van der Swan, who just caught the rear of the car coming into the final corner there. Daly's now spun out, still not had to recover yet because there's lots of cars in the way. It looks like someone behind Daly as well has had an incident too, but Daly still unable to recover. Still facing the wrong way on the corner here, will only just be able to slot back onto the track. Eraser now going to try and make something happen. Van Zwan's tucked in behind Eraser, and Simons will be holding off both of those cars. Jan Yo will be happy just to have a bit of breathing room now, because we were seeing just how much pressure they were receiving from behind. So an accident there sees Daly falling to the back of the pack. Daly is not going to be happy with how that goes. Someone now who is going to be happy with how things are going is Marks. They started down in 12th. They're currently up into 7th place. They're climbing and they're going to continue to climb further, looking now to overtake the number 81 of Vigstu. Behind, Svensson's gone a little bit wide, but not enough to cause any problems. As Verstrappen now trying to claim the place back off Harman that they lost earlier. Verstrappen is back up to speed, and now we get to see the Verstrappen that we were waiting for today, the one who's really aggressive, the one who fights every opportunity they can. Verstrappen going for a move around the outside of Harman here. Will they be able to do it? Well, it looks like Harman's going to try and fight back, but Verstrappen's definitely had the better exit out of the hairpin there and will have the advantage coming into the next few corners. All they have to do is hold it together next to Harman here, and it looks like they've done so. Harman going to have to tuck wide a little bit and will have to fall back behind Verstrappen. Verstrappen back up into 4th place, although has gone wide out of one of those final corners. Is going to have to try and really hold off against Harman now. Harman ready to bite back at any opportunity. Verstrappen again keeps twigging that curb that they keep hitting. And it looks like in the background there's been an instance. Vigstu's now facing the wrong way in the middle of the track, and cars are trying to avoid them. Not the place you want to have an accident. I believe they might have hit the curb too hard here. We're going to have a race replay. See what happened. Yeah, they've hit the curb slightly hard, unsettled the car, and that is going to be Marks behind them, maybe making a bit of contact, but I don't think they are to blame for that. Vigstu just going to have to wait to rejoin the track now.
Yes, I'm sorry, that incident from Vigstu, yes, he did hit a lot of the curb, but it also seemed to be a little bit of assistance from behind. Don't want to point any fingers, but when he spun and he didn't hold the brakes and was just reversing down the track, that just gave me very, very bad flashbacks from a previous race we've had here. Last year, it was RCI's first 24, I don't know if you remember, in February. It was very good. And yeah, we've had a moment like that before. It always makes you wince.
It's that corner. The curb's a very high curb. You hit the car, you unsettle it, and the problem is as we saw there, I think you're right. I think it was mix of both, a bit of the corner and a bit of the car behind. I think the problem was obviously Vigstu hit the curb, it slowed down the car. Marks just went right into the back because there was nowhere else to go, and I think it was a combination of one or the other. We'll see how the stewards decide to, well, decide to judge that. It depends on if it's actually reported or not, but I think that will be one where I'm happy I'm not a steward. I don't have to make that decision. Jan Yo currently has a bit of a gap now to the cars behind, was under pressure earlier, but now has the opportunity to climb again, is trying to close that gap up. So Hladky ahead in the number 78, and we'll be looking to try and climb. But I mean, Jan Yo had a fairly textbook race so far. They've got a 6-car gap to Atta, who's the person in second place now. Jan Yo doing what they always do, doing laps out ahead and just trying to keep that gap as big as possible. Same thing for Chamberlain as well. 6-car gap to Hladky behind. Chamberlain is loving their life right now. A 1.2 second gap to Schaefer, I'd take that any day of the week.
Yes, and also notice he's got the purple juice fastest lap of the race. Or the speed juice award, and that's what Jesse Lee calls it exactly. And well, he's just doing an awesome race, keeping ahead of everyone, just not backing down. Even though he's in a lower class, he still wants to win.
I mean, this is the dream race right now for Chamberlain. I think if I could be any driver on the track, I'd want to be Chamberlain right now. Started on pole, obviously got the most amazing start I think I've seen on these cup cars. Just seemed to be on the accelerator way before everyone else. Verstrappen we saw struggled a bit and held up the rest of the pack too. As Simon's going for a move down the inside of Classiad here. Made a mistake going through the corner. Simon's going to try and capitalise off this. Going to get neck and neck with the number 30, but Classiad will be able to recover with enough time to cover off Simons from behind. But yeah, going back to Chamberlain, I mean, it's just been a textbook race. All they've had to do is just do hot laps on repeat. And I mean, Verstrappen's mishap at the beginning didn't quite get their foot on the accelerator fast enough, ends up holding up both Schaefer and Lawrence, and it's just helped Chamberlain. And Chamberlain is just so thankful as Simon's there going wide, going to open the door for Ripper in the 666 car. Will now try and find their way through. Let's see if Simon's had a good enough exit. They are on the right side of the track right now. This is where you want to be coming into the next set of corners, because you will have the advantage here. You're going to take it a little bit wide though and pick up a bit of grass, and that's going to help Ripper to push forward and ahead. So Simon's now just going to need to contain themselves, get back into the flow of it and pick up that momentum again. They'll slot down into 14th place, and Ripper can now turn their attention to Kalasiad in the number 30.
Yes, and well, remember, Ripper and Kalatiad, they are fighting for in-class position. They're both pros, while Simmons, he's a silver. So, well, now Simmons, he's back. He's got Tom Watts behind him now. But I don't know, do you remember Tom Watts? Do you remember where he started?
He
Second
started
to
24th.
last. Yes, he's already up to 15th.
Brilliant performance.
Yes, as Jan Yo, well, he's just made the place up on Eldaki.
It looks like they're still having to fight for it though. I think they're currently batting out right now. Hladky and Yo neck and neck going up the straight here. Going to come into the next corner. It's going to be Jan Yo's advantage. It looks like they're going to make slight contact as they send Hladky wide on the track. Luckily, there's not too big of an incident. Hladky will just slot back in behind. It'll be interesting to see if Jan Yo gives up the position. I think they have. They've given up the position to Hladky there and just let them back through. We'll continue to try and make this overtake happen without contact if possible. But all that has just helped a racer to catch up with the both of them. And now racers in this fight. Well, here's the fight with Marco Ripper. Looks like they fought their way through Glaciard, who is now under pressure from Simon's behind. And it looks like Ripper will now be leading this pack away. Simon's still not through either of the pro cars yet, but is looking again to put the pressure on Glaciard here, trying to make a move happen around the outside of the hairpin. It's not going to happen here, I don't think, as Glaciard will slot into that line that they want to be on. Going to block Simons from having the racing line here. And well, these three, they've been really batting out. It looks like Ripper though, Ripper's got bigger ambitions. They're going to try and catch up with the pack ahead. They've made a distance to the two cars behind. They were originally just trailing behind, and now the 666 going to try and catch up with Van der Zwan, and hopefully they'll be fighting Svensson by the end of this race. But it's a bit of a tall order. They've got a good 7 seconds to close before they're fighting the next pro.
Yes, and I gotta say, Max Simmons, he needs to play this smart. He can't fight too much with Kalatiad and allow Tom Watts behind him to catch up. I mean, the places ahead, they're not for position. It's already, what, 5th in class, I believe? So, well, that's already a good enough result. Don't make it a 6th. Don't let Tom Watts catch up. We've only got 5 minutes and a bit left in this race, and yeah, just hang on to that position.
Yeah, it's a case of, I think, just judging pace. I agree. You don't want to get yourself into unnecessary trouble. You don't want to be slowing both cars down because that would give Tom Watts the advantage to catch up. But at the same time, if Simons feels like he's got loads more pace in him, and if he feels like he's been held up by Classiad here, they're going to want to try and get through quickly, because that's the other thing is, if number 30 is going so slow, it's going to push them back towards Tom Watts. Roberts here making a move down the inside of Byron. Looks like they've got it done. It's opened the door as well for Vigstu to try and get that position back as well. Vigstu going to have to try and go around the outside here, but Roberts not having a good exit of the corner. Byron's going to be trying to strike back on them now as Vigstu is looking to try and get a move on them both as well. Goes for the thread around the outside of Byron here. Now going to look towards the inside of Roberts. It looks like Borodai has now joined the fight as well. Borodai's got great acceleration and great top speed here. Looking for the middle of both cars. Going to tap the inside of, I think that might be Byron, that might be Roberts. I'm not 100% sure who that is there. It's Roberts, but Borodai going to tap the inside. Will slot in between the two cars, and Vigstu has managed to navigate the traffic well there. Will continue to try and climb. We saw them have an incident earlier. They're just trying to get back as many points as possible. It looks like they've gone deep now, opening the door for Phil Roberts and Borodai to try and make a move. It looks like Borodai's through. Phil Roberts not going to be able to get through. Will tuck in behind Vigstu, but Borodai just has so much traffic happening in front of him right now. Cars swerving around him everywhere, trying to climb. We're going to watch Phil Roberts as they look at the fighting cars ahead, but we've currently got a 5-way fight right now for 17th place, and it looks like every car here is trying to get into that spot, despite the fact most of them aren't even in the same split here, Miguel.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, all this racing, this close racing, it's cost Phil Roberts so much time to add ahead. I mean, when this started about a lap ago, it was a 4-second gap between Roberts and Atta. It's now 7 seconds. So, well, this is Phil Roberts. He just needs to get his head down, not fight too much with Vigaju and Borodai. Just let them carry him into the back of Atta, see if he can get the place. But 3 minutes left. That'll be about 2 laps, I think, of the race.
Wow, that has gone quickly. I didn't even realise that there's only 3 minutes left of this race. Of course, this is the 20-minute sprint. We will be into race 2 after this, and that will be 40 minutes long. It will be worth double the points of race 1, but we'll be starting from the qualifying positions, which means Tom Watts, who started in 24th, is now up to 16th, has to do that all over again. We'll see if they can pull it off. But Miguel, just to bring you back to Phil Roberts, I mean, Phil Roberts, currently sitting on the podium for the AM class right now, is having to defend from Byron behind. But if you remember earlier, Phil Roberts got in an accident. At one point, they weren't facing the right way on the track. They were looking in the complete opposite direction, having to wait to slot themselves back into this race. So to climb back up onto that podium position, Phil Roberts has done a brilliant drive right now to get themselves up there. I just hope that they don't get into any more trouble. Very close there. I thought for sure there's going to be an accident between Phil and Vigstu, but just managing to avoid it. I think what Roberts needs to do now, just make sure they finish that race in that 3rd place slot.
Yeah, I think that this feat by Phil Roberts and Tom Watts, it just shows how much it pays to just keep your nose clean. Stay out of fights, pick your moments when you want to attack, and don't fight too long, don't lose yourself too much time. These cars, as we know, we've talked extensively about this, they're all about momentum. And this is a spec series, they're all the same. So if you lose, even if it's on the exit of a corner, you go a little bit sideways, those extra 1-2 kilometers an hour that you're losing, that'll make a giant gap down the straight compared to the car ahead. So, yeah, I think it's Phil Roberts. He's done a very good job to get back to the podium spots, and it will be good. He will have a good result. Maybe he might get it off Chen Yo. We'll have to see in race 2.
That's the thing. Race 2, of course, being 40 minutes long, it's double the length of this race 1, which means you've got double the amount of time to play with. It allows cars that maybe don't have the best qualifying position to just make something happen and catch up. And as you've just said, Miguel, you got to do it gradually. You got to pick your fights, and you got to make sure you pick the ones that aren't going to put you at risk. We've just seen an overtake. I think it was Betiety on Byron. They went for a really tight move down the inside of that final corner, but they've been trading for a while, made it work, and those are the sorts of overtakes you need to see, is the ones that you sort of cook up over maybe one lap, maybe two, just making sure you know where the opportunity to strike and taking it when it arrives. Don't do anything risky. This is a final race. You need to pick up as many points as possible. You cannot afford bad results here at Kyalami. It's the final round of the season and you need to pick up as many as possible. Simon's looking to get a good result here. Not fighting anyone in their class currently, but still trying to find their way through Classiard. They were originally under pressure from Tom Watts. Tom Watts has now dropped back about 5 seconds with an AM class driver in between, so Simon's no longer having to worry so much about losing that spot. Well, here's the man that we've been talking about. Currently, not a lot of this race, despite the fact they have led every single lap of it. They started on pole, and they currently have the fastest lap as well. They're 1.5 seconds ahead of the person in second. It is, of course, Harley Chamberlain in the Atom Racing car, number 725, has done a phenomenal job so far at Kyalami, despite being in the silver split. Doesn't mean anything to him right now. He's proven that just because he's got that silver tag doesn't make him any less of a driver than any of the pros that are currently behind him. Schaefer still holding off Martin Lawrence, has a bit of a gap. It's about 1 second now between them, but it's not enough. Martin Lawrence here is going to be putting pressure. This is the final lap here, Miguel. Once Chamberlain crosses the line, that will be the end of the race, I believe, here. So Chamberlain, I mean, he's had it easy today, and I think he's probably loved this race from start to finish. It does not get better than this. You called it at the beginning. You said, I think Chamberlain's going to do well. You were right. Chamberlain has had the time of his life as he's about to cross the line and win the race.
Yeah, Chamberlain, he will be a very happy boy in that car. He really will be. First, I believe this is the first win for him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good job. Good job, Barley. Now, just have to do it all again in race 2 for an extra 20 minutes. That won't be hard. Sure.
That won't be hard, right? He can do that again. He's just done it. He can totally do that. But Chamberlain going to come across the line in first place. He will be ecstatic with that result. Schaefer will win in the Pro Split, second place overall. Lawrence will be second for the Pro Split, and Verstrappen will round out that podium. Hladky second place in the Silver Split, and a racer will round out the podium for the Silver Split. Jan Yo wins for the AM Split. They have just had another good race as well, very similar to Chamberlain's actually, but in their respective position. Atta will come home in second place for AM, and Phil Roberts will recover back onto that podium. So a bit of a mix-up all round, really. And Chamberlain, I can't remember where they were in this championship already, and we quickly check. Chamberlain was leading the championship, going to be very happy with that result. Will just help to secure that first place for them. And again, like we said, Miguel, we're about to go into race 2. We're going to reset to where things were originally. Chamberlain's just looking so good right now. I mean, can anyone stop them? What does anyone have to do here to push Chamberlain back into the pack? Like, what needs to happen to fight Chamberlain now?
Chamberlain, he needs to have a massive crash. For anyone to get a chance at beating him, he's done so well. I mean, he's not made a single mistake in these entire 20 minutes. He's always kept ahead of Robin Schaefer and Christopher Verstrappen. And they're not the easiest people to stay ahead of. I mean, we've seen in previous races just how well Schaefer could defend and attack for the lead of the races. So, well, Chamberlain, he did a good job. Now he just has to do it again.
Yeah, I've got to agree. Schaefer has every single race has looked unbeatable. They've won every single race apart from Bathurst in round 2. And I mean, to be Chamberlain right now, to say that you led Schaefer, you outpaced Schaefer as well. Like, he had the fastest lap. So to be able to say that, you led the current best driver in the championship for the entire race, it's a great feeling to have, and it's definitely going to boost Chamberlain's confidence going into race 2. Of course, we'll be entering race 2 in a minute, just resetting the cars to their original positions for qualifying, which means people like Tom Watts, who started in 24th, I'm afraid they're going to have to go all the way back to 24th. Chamberlain will remain on pole. I believe Verstrappen started second place. Martin Lawrence and Schaefer will tuck in behind Verstappen as well. So it's all to play for in race 2 now. This is the race that matters. Final race of the BMW M2 Cup Car Series. We'll get into that in a minute. I'll just like to talk about our partners real quickly. We'll go into more detail to the race, but our partners are Race Department, AK Informatica, Driver61, Fanatec, and SimRacing.gp. They help to support these races and they help to make them happen. Well, Miguel, we actually have a bit of a surprise for the audience today. We've got another person with us, actually, for the commentary. Christian Stricker, currently down in the pit lane. Christian, what are your thoughts on race 1, and who do you think is going to come out on top on race 2?
First of all, thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. And, well, as we saw in race 1, and as predicted as well by Miguel Martins, Harley Chamberlain, brilliant race from him. He took it from pole position all the way to P1 with the fastest lap as well. So, grand slam from the driver there in silver class. I expect to see something similar again this race. It never looked like he was out of control in any way, shape, or form. And also, I think Schaefer, maybe this time around, with a bit more time, could potentially get a bit closer, because he did start outside the top 5, I believe, or right at the end of the top 5, and he slowly but surely made his way up and caught up to Chamberlain slowly in the end. So it could be a race where Schaefer, at the very end of the race, manages to make that move to secure his win in the championship. Well, actually, thinking about it, it wouldn't matter because he's a silver driver, Harley Chamberlain. But anyways, yeah, I think we're going to see quite similar to race 1. It wasn't a huge drama here and there. Maybe Tom Bryant as well. I'd like to see him a bit further up in the AM field, and Phil Roberts as well. Both of those drivers suffering a few crashes and spins. And I think that's a pretty good summary of who I think will be at the top of the next race.
Thank you, Christian. For those of you that wondered what Christian, our broadcaster, sounded like, that is Christian doing his bit of commentating. We'll be tuning in with him in race 2 at some point as well, see how his feelings are going there and if Chamberlain is still winning, like he's just predicted. But that is Christian. Thank you very much, Christian, for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you on the comms and to have your voice finally heard. But yeah, anyway, back to the conversation that we were talking about, Miguel. Harley Chamberlain, of course, they've got another race ahead of them here. Race 2, it's 40 minutes long. It's worth double the amount of points, but not really threatened at all in race 1. Basically, had a good start, and after that, didn't even have to try defending. Schaefer wasn't able to close that gap, but it's going to be, I think, a different story here in race 2, of course. New opportunities come into play. We know tyres start to drop off around the halfway mark, and that's going to cause problems for a lot of these drivers. We'll see if Chamberlain can manage that better than Schaefer, but honestly here, unless someone can put pressure on Chamberlain early on, are we in for another race where Chamberlain just leads from start to finish? Do you think that Chamberlain can pull off a double victory here at Kyalami today?
He could. It's definitely possible, and it has been done before. But I don't know. I just don't know. With Christopher Verstrappen, I don't think he's going to make the same mistake that he did in race 1. If he can nail the start, then he's got the better line into turn 2, and we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. It's a 40-minute race. You have more tires, more tire problems. You'll start getting more wear, graining. So we'll have to see how those in front, if they push too early, how that's gonna affect them in the later parts of the race.
Yeah, I think Chamberlain here is off to possibly a very good start in this race too. They absolutely nailed the start in race 1, just pulled away instantly. Verstappen did struggle though, and like you said, not going to make that same mistake twice. I expect to see Verstappen very aggressive on that throttle at the beginning. I think Verstappen will be pressuring Chamberlain from turn 1. If that's the case, I think Verstappen might be able to do some real damage into Chamberlain's lap times here. Verstappen, we know, is a very good, very aggressive driver. Will be sticking their nose up every opportunity they get. Something we've not talked about yet, and something that's been a big factor across this championship as a whole, but it seems not so here at Kyalami today, is the weather. I mean, this has just been, I think, the best and most consistent weather we have had all season so far. We've had race just appearing mid-race and all sorts of points and just having wet weather all around. Well, another thing that we've not checked on the well is Jesse Lee. Jesse Lee has covered broadcasting for the last 2 rounds, is now back in the spectating. As you can see, absolutely thrilled right now with the racing that's happening. Same pose, same arms crossed, constantly looking the same, Jesse Lee, but going to be happy to be spectating again after filling the commentary for the last 2 races here. But well, I've got to say, I'm so excited, Miguel, for this race too. We're on the outlap now. The cars are warming up their tyres. They've only got 1 lap to do it. And as we said in qualifying, it takes more than a lap to warm up the tyres in these cars because they don't have tyre warmers. Well, they're all trying to warm them up as much as possible now. Christian's taking you for a lap around the track, it seems. We're going to see the cars coming through here. Very, very still. I think in other races, we've seen them zigzagging a lot at the beginning. I'm wondering, Miguel, do you think the zigzagging hurt the tyres in the long run? And do you reckon the plan is now just try and keep the tyres as long as possible? Because that's going to be the big factor of this race is whose tyres drops off first. We saw it happen big time at Bar first. People kept smacking into the walls because they lost the grip in that final 10 minutes. I think today that is going to be the big factor of race 2. We'll see who can manage their tyres the best. Will it be Chamberlain? Will Chamberlain lead yet another race? Will they bring home their second victory today? Will Verstrappen be able to do damage? Will it be Lawrence, Schaefer? Even Heilmann looked so good at the beginning of the last race here. It's all to play for in race 2. And I've got to say, for a final race of the season, it's been a good one so far.
Yeah, it really has. We've had an amazing race 1, even an amazing qualifying, with people going side by side fighting for a track position. So it's been an awesome race. It's been an awesome season. It's been a pleasure working with you, Tim and Chris. And even though in the last couple of races, that's seems like we have some technical problems, and we'll be back for the race shortly.
Well, we've had to red flag for now on the outlap, it seems. We're just going to bring all the cars back to the pits. There's been an incident at the track. Someone's noticed that a board has fallen over somewhere, so we're just going to send out some stewards to go fix that. We will see what happens shortly. But going to see what happens in the rest of the race. They were on the outlap when we left them, Miguel, and I've got to say, for an outlap, I thought it was rather tame compared to what we've had before. Well, here's the end of the outlap now. We've sent all the cars back out. We fixed the track. Do not worry, everyone. We have green flagged the race, and it's going to be getting go shortly. I've got to say, it's very exciting going into race 2. It could go anyone's direction. Someone chat earlier mentioned that the Eurovision was currently on, but they did rightly say that this is more interesting than Eurovision. Joe Gleason, you are correct. This is more interesting than the Eurovision. Gather your family and friends, gather them all around your computer, your TV, whatever you're watching on, and make sure they catch the final race of the BMW M2 Cup Car Championship. We are going to be going shortly. Looks like the cars are going to be about to go. Who's going to have the better exit? Looks like Chamberlain again has been better off on the throttle, but Verstrappen
is slow.
Not falling back. Chamberlain is actually a little bit slower than Verstrappen here. Looks like Verstrappen is going to be biting into the second corner. We'll see who has the advantage of Verstrappen. A lot more fighting this time. I'm going to go for a move around the outside of Harley Chamberlain. Have they gone too wide though, or will they be able to slot back onto the track? It looks like Verstrappen has got the move done. Will now be leading the race. Martin Lawrence now pushes themselves ahead of Schaefer. Vigstu behind them as well. It looks like Schaefer though going for a move on Lawrence. Chamberlain really struggling to get going this time around. Is already under pressure from Lawrence, who is trying to get alongside Chamberlain's car. Chamberlain is going to have the inside. Will continue to push Lawrence to the outside here. Try and split up the acceleration, but Lawrence not giving up around the inside for this corner. Well, we know that you've got to be around the outside here. It's just been the outside that's had the better line, but Chamberlain really fighting to just try and pick up some momentum again. Struggled so much into the second corner, and it looks like Verstappen is just going to disappear off into the distance as Martin Lawrence down the inside of Harley Chamberlain makes the move stick. Heilmann has made the move behind on Schaefer as well. Will continue to hold the inside as they go into the hairpin here. Vigstu also putting pressure on Schaefer. So Schaefer's not had a good start. Chamberlain's not had a good start. This has all gone a completely different direction to race one as Verstappen, with a second of gap behind him, going to lead this race for the first time ever as Heilmann avoids Schaefer there. Looked like they almost had contact, but, well, Miguel, things couldn't have gone differently this time around. What an exciting start to race 2.
Yes, Verstrappen, he had the start that he needed to have. Everyone was very equal, and he just managed to carry it around the outside. And as I said, the outside of turn 2, it's the better line, because then for those little S's, well, you're in the inside, and these M2 cars, they don't have a lot of grip. Sometimes you may have even to just let off the gas to make the corner. So it was an amazing start by Verstrappen, and had some really good side-by-side battles all the way down the field. I mean, you've had Lawrence, Chamberlain, Hellman, Schaefer, Vigastru. I mean, everyone was just side by side and gaining positions, and not a single bit of contact. I think that was a clean first lap.
Well, we can have that to thank compared to the first race, although the last time round it wasn't too bad. Actually, as you've said, that someone has just had an incident in the back there. I believe that might be Cassius and Byron have collided with each other and now gonna just try and filter in at the back of the pack, pick up some pace, and hopefully be able to catch up before the end of the race. Well, that was the commentator's curse. There for you, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. It's happened finally at the end of this season, but these two cars will be hoping to rejoin. Well, here's the fight at the front. Schaefer trying to close the gap to Heilmann ahead. It looks like Heilmann has gone a little bit wide here. Schaefer's going to take an opportunity to go down the inside. Heilmann needs to try and pick up enough speed, but we know that that is not how these cars work. Heilmann just struggling to just try and stay neck and neck with Schaefer along the straight here. Not going to happen. Schaefer's going to be ahead by the time we get into this right-handed corner. Can they get around the outside of Heilmann though? No! Heilmann will brake late, make sure they keep that advantage. It's going to fall yet again though behind Schaefer because they just do not have the momentum to keep this going as we come up into the final corner here. A couple of cars picking up a bit of dirt on the outside and kicking up to the cars behind here. Schaefer is going to have got the move done on Heilmann. Verstappen will lead still Lawrence, 1.2 second gap between them. Harley Chamberlain though will be closing in on Lawrence behind, and then Schaefer and Heilmann, where we can see them currently fighting on your screen right now. We're watching from the rear of Schaefer's car, the rear wing. We're seeing if Heilmann can get the move done. Looking for it. Not going to happen in turn 2, although looking maybe for the switchback move down the inside here as Schaefer goes a little bit too wide. Can Heilmann get anything of this? It looks like Schaefer is going to be able to stay ahead, but Heilmann and Marks now putting up a fight to try and get through. Marks has gone for a move on Heilmann, which has stunted them. Marks is here, Vigstru is here, Sørensen is here. It's all given Schaefer a good run out, but now the fight is for 5th place. Vigstru trying to fight Heilmann. Marks, I thought for a second, honestly, had the move there, Miguel, but what a fight we've got going for 5th place right now.
Yeah, what a fight. I mean, just one tiny mistake. It backed up the field enough. Mistake from Schaefer. Backed everyone up, and now they're all onto Heilmann's rear end. Vigastru, he made it through Heilmann. And now we have a side-by-side battle behind them between Pedro Marques and Jordan Daly, I believe it is. And Jan Yeo as well. I mean, everyone's getting involved in this.
It is all to play for in this final race. Everyone trying to climb as high as possible. Watching in chat goes, Kyalami. And I think that's the best way of summing this up. They've just said, that was tight as well. It's tight. It's still tight right now from about 5th all the way down to, I think, 14th. We've got, no, it's even further than that. It's 5th all the way down to 19th. There's a trail of cars all within a second of each other. You can see them coming through now like a big snake, just weaving its way through the corners here. We're watching from Mark's perspective, see if they can go for a move on Daly. Mark's has been someone who we've watched a little bit so far this week. Very aggressive, trying to find a move on the corner and just not having the luck so far. Mark's, of course, was the one that made contact with Tom Watts in qualifying that ruined both of their laps on that first lap. So today, Mark's just trying to climb through the field and hopefully get something done. Phil Roberts in the background, I mean, you can see they're going all the way, using up as much of the track as possible. Kyalami getting its money's worth here on the track. Phil Roberts, Sladky and Borodai using up all of the track available to them right now as Roberts tries to find a move on Sladky. Not happening currently. Sladky will be able to hold on to that position, but they're going to use the entire track to do so. Harley Chamberlain still has that speed juice fastest lap, by the way, so hopefully for them be closing down Lawrence. Are we going to see what we didn't predict? The only thing we didn't say might happen is Chamberlain loses place at the beginning and then just gets them all back in the race anyway. Is Chamberlain going to be the victor after a long, well-fought race here, Miguel?
Well, it could. It very much could. But what's scaring me is that he's got the fastest lap, so that means that he's pushing as much as he can. And we've seen how the tire wear can affect these cars at the end of the race. So we'll just have to wait and see how that car handles at the end. I mean, maybe he can make the move on Lawrence, maybe even catch up to Verstrappen, but then will he be able to keep those places at the end?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Chamberlain's just made... Oh, no, he's not made the position up. Never mind. The scoreboard changed. I got really excited there, thinking he just made a move on Lawrence. Well, we're currently watching Borodai as they're trying to put pressure on Phil Roberts. The head's gone a little bit wide through the last couple of corners, picking up a lot of dirt. Both of them are, but Borodai for now is going to have to continue to look at the rear of Roberts here. Roberts in Am, Borodai in Silver, but that doesn't matter. They both want to fight for this because they both have people they want to catch up with now. Borodai as well, having to now defend from a racer behind. A racer look like they got a good exit out of this corner here onto the start-finish straight. We're about to go into the first corner of the kink. Who's going to come out on top? Well, Borodai is ahead, but now they've got a bit of a gap to Roberts, and well, we saw what happened. You've got to get the move done, because if you don't get the move done, Miguel, it ruins your momentum, and you just now play the catch-up game for the next few laps, and that's what we're going to see is how do you get the move done? Personally, the biggest tactic that I'm a fan of in this championship is sticking your nose up the inside just to break the momentum of the car ahead and then get them on a later corner. I'm very much a fan of these setup plays that we've seen a lot of these drivers doing, as I believe a racing right now might have just got the move done on Borodai and is going to look at Phil Roberts ahead. But Miguel, I'm just a big fan of these plays where you see them in advance, people start sticking their nose up the inside, maybe just even going around the outside, anything to throw the driver off ahead and lose their momentum, and that is how you prepare an overtake with these BMW cars.
Yeah, just as John the Racer, he makes a mistake out of that corner, goes a bit too wide, sticks it on the grass. But he manages to keep it ahead of Borodai, but that will just slow Borodai down, allow everyone behind him to catch up even more. And one person I have to say that it's standing out to me is Phil Roberts. Remember, there was a 9-car gap between him and Janyo, and now it's just a 2-second gap with 2 cars in between. We're only 10 minutes into this race. Phil Roberts already done a very good job at the beginning parts, and he might even catch up to Janyo for the lead of AM class.
Slow and steady wins the race. That is Phil Roberts' motto right now, just trying to climb through the pack as steadily as possible without getting into too much trouble. We saw it in race 1. Phil Roberts started to climb through the pack, got into a bit of an incident that then saw them shot back into the 20 positions, and then they managed to come up, and that's Marks, I think, facing the wrong way on the final corner. Will be able to recover, but everyone else has to go right, and that's given an opportunity for these drivers right now to try and fight each other. I think that was Roberts and Hladky going to try and take the opportunity here, but Marks, that's not where you want to spin, is it, Miguel?
Yeah, and that's Janyo. I think there was a collision between Marks and Janyo, and Janyo slowed down to give the place back. Well, this has dropped Janyo all the way to the back of the field. Phil Roberts is now leading the AM class.
Oh, so someone else just spun out behind. Oh no!
Oh no! This is just the entire championship is on his head now. I don't know what to make of it, to be honest.
Well, I said going into this that it's all still to play for. Just because you had that 70-point gap going into this race does not mean you were safe by any means, and that has just been proved. Janyo currently in 3rd place in AM, just trying to catch up the momentum, because I think they're probably soon going to be pressured from behind by Batiati in the number 51 as well. But you're right, Janyo got into a bit of a mix-up there with Marks, has given the position back, but at what cost? Phil Roberts now leads the AM race. Borodai currently, though, trying to go around the outside. I think if you're Roberts, just give it to Borodai. It is not worth getting into trouble here. You're not under pressure from anyone. Actually, this is Borodai and Ripper, not Phil Roberts. So, again, same philosophy, though. If you're Borodai, maybe try not to fight this too hard. Of course, a race is behind and is putting pressure on you, but Ripper is very aggressive here, looking for a move down around the outside of the final set of corners here. Not going to have it happen. Going to be a little too late on the brakes, and will have to slot in. They're now behind a racer. Borodai going to hold on to that 11th position for now, but does now have the other silver car, the 699 eraser behind them to battle. So we'll see whether Borodai will be able to hold off here. Ripper just not being able to get the move off, broke too late into that corner and went wide, and that's the problem, Miguel, is they ruined their momentum for themselves. Well, here's the incident between Marks and Janyo. It looks like Janyo just tapped the rear of Marks coming out of that final corner. Marks does recover fairly quickly, but as we saw, Janyo doing a respectful thing, gave the position back, but it's cost them the lead of this race. If Janyo wants to get back to the lead, they have 27 minutes to climb and do it.
Yeah, I gotta say, that is what you should do. If you have an accident, you touch someone and they spin, you should always wait, let them go past and try again. That's the commendable thing to do, but it's might have cost them the championship. Now, I'm not a mathematician, and I am really, really bad with numbers, so I can't confirm anything. I mean, for that, I think we'd need to get Jesse Lee.
Jesse, if you're listening, come and do the math real quick. But yeah, I think I've got to say, I'm not sure if it's the entire championship gone down the drain. I think Yo had a decent gap, especially after race 1. That had pushed their points gap a little bit ahead. But let's see, Jan Yo was about 30 points ahead, 26 points ahead of Phil Roberts going to the championship. So with the double points, could be enough for Phil Roberts to close the gap. And the other thing we've got to remember, Miguel, is the drop round. How many points are they both dropping? Will that in itself close the gap enough to let Phil Roberts get back into the lead here? Well, we'll see after this race. Holman now putting pressure on Vigstu ahead. Holman looked to have a good start and then got a bit pressured out and thrown back into the pack. They're going to try and climb up now. We know they've got the pace here. They're just 2 tenths off Vigstu. You can see how close it is, almost touching Vigstu's rear, going for that final corner there, but going to keep that gap as close as possible. We'll try and use the slipstream to stay as close again, but as we know, these cars, they don't overtake on the straights. That is not how these BMW Cup cars work. If you want to make the overtake happen, you do it by diving into the corner. Is that what we're about to see from Holman in turn 2? No, Holman will continue to just try and get that gap as close as possible. But that's the other thing we've not talked about, Miguel, and there's a big surprise to us in the first race. If you take yourself all the way back to Suzuka in the season, these cars, you can give them as much slipstream as you want. It's not going to make enough difference. If you want to have the overtake done, you've got to do it into the corner. These cars are dive bombing cars, and that is why we see them get into so many accidents. But it's the only way to do it, Miguel. You can't overtake on the straight. They don't have enough momentum.
Yeah, they don't. There's not enough power, not enough slipstream to help them pass on the straights, and they have to do it in the corners. And I believe that this is how it should be done. This is where it's exciting. The drivers have to show respect to each other, otherwise they'll both be taken out or have penalties, and that will not help either of them. So yeah, I really like watching these cars race around. It's so satisfying, to be honest.
It has been a delight watching them. They're a whole different sort of car to watch because they just battle it out. Well, we heard from Christian in the middle of this race. We're going to hear from Christian again. Going down to the pit lane. Christian, what are your thoughts on this race 2 so far?
Yeah, it's been a brilliant race so far between all the drivers throughout the whole field. It's been absolute great entertainment to follow along with, and watching this DHL driver, Benjamin Helmets, putting on charges and attacks day after day on Vigastro in front of him. It's just brilliant entertainment. As Miguel said, the cars need to overtake under braking and into the corners, and that's how it should be, and it just brings us such close and tight racing we've seen before. Also, the battle earlier with Phil Roberts making his way up the field has been brilliant so far. Currently he's on for my driver of the day, but we'll have to wait and see until the end of the race to see if that actually stands. Harley Chamberlain with a bit of a unfortunate start, but he's sticking with it as well now. And Verstrappen and Lawrence, I could see those two fighting at the end of the race as well. So just watching Benjamin Heilman right now on the back of Vigastro, and he's just looks like he's pushing him through the corners now. It's brilliant fighting to watch. It's definitely not over, and I'm so excited to see how the end of the race is going to be. Back to you, Tim.
where we will tune back in with Christian later and see how things are looking again from his perspective. But Heilmann currently finally going to try and make the move happen on Vigshu here. Looked for it around the outside the corner, but it's not quite going to happen there. Vigshu does manage to just pull the momentum through, keep the car in front going through this next set of corners. But Heilmann, you can see it coming, Miguel. He's cooking a move here. Every corner, looking to the inside, looking to the outside, assessing when can I make this move happen.
Yes, but also look at Vigers's defending. It's textbook. He's keeping the car in front. He's taking the racing line. He's not falling for Heilmann's mind tricks. Maybe Heilmann is going to set it up the inside, so he has to leave space now. Vigersu, he's keeping it to the racing line. He's keeping it in front, and he's making Heilmann work for it. As we can see, Heilmann, he dives up the inside, but he's missed the brakes. He's missed the corner, and it allows Vigersu to go past again. Look at the size of that gap now.
Yeah, that's really going to hurt Heilmann in the long run there. Almost had the move done. Like, Vigshu made the mistake. They went wider, and it gave Heilmann a good opportunity down the middle. But as you said, too late on the brakes, sent them wide, and that's put Daly now back into the fight. And Heilmann's going to have to try and close the gap yet again to Vigshu. It's just going to add time to Heilmann's race here. Well, we're going to have a little watch, see what's happening in the big train of cars that is fighting. Actually, we're going to have a look at Lawrence right now as they close the gap on Verstrappen. Is this going to be the fight for first place? You can see Harley Chamberlain not dropped off too far, is going to be there in the background to witness this entire thing, and I'm willing to bet we'll be there to pick up the pieces when they happen. Can Lawrence close this gap to Verstappen just that little bit more to give them the fighting edge into the corner as well? Jesse Lee has been in the chat. We asked Jesse earlier to do the math. Jesse has pulled through. Says it's real close between Yo and Roberts. The drop round will be the deciding factor, but they reckon if Yo can get past Brian for second place in the class, then Yo will have it. Well, if Jesse Lee's math, it's always reliable, Miguel. If that's anything to go by, it sounds like Yo needs to catch up with Brian. I've just looked at, he's already done it. So Yo might be safe. Oh no, where's Yo gone?
What?
They've just fallen through the field. Has Yo had an accident? But Yo is now, they're fifth in class. Oh, that's going to be amazing for Phil Roberts.
Wow, this has just been a roller coaster from Jan Yo maybe losing the championship to now, well, it's looking very perilous.
Well, we're going to see if we can find the replay, see if we can find what happened to Jan Yo. I think Christian has just found it, so we're going to see exactly what put Jan Yo back into the pack. Well, it looks like someone's going a bit slow there. I think that was Tom Bryant, actually. Jan Yo now makes contact with, I believe that's Steinman's in the green car, and it's just going to send them back behind a couple of cars. Actually, it was Atta. So it was a big fight in the AM class. The 4 cars that you saw on screen there were 4 cars all fighting for position in AM, and now Jan Yo is at the back of that, having got caught in a little bit of a tug-of-war fight in the final corner there. Looks like we're going to try and clear these cars as quickly as possible, though. In chat, Mr. Watson said Yo wouldn't get it, no doubt. Well, we know how fast Yo is. Jan Yo got so much speed, so much pace, but they have to climb, and unfortunately for Jan Yo, got to do it for cars in the same class as well. Not going to get any leniency. No one's going to be giving them an easy time and letting them through. Jan Yo has to get these overtakes done, and if Jesse Lee's math is anything to go by, which it usually is, it's got to be that second place to secure that championship. To be 100% sure that they've won, got to be second place for Jan Yo here today.
Yeah, he's got to pull something out of the bag. Oh, that's Heilmann and Vigersu. Vigersu, was there maybe contact?
I think there was, because
let's watch
Heilmann
it
looks
again.
like he's slowed down here, hasn't he? And yeah, we're going to watch a replay. I think Heilmann might just tap the rear.
Oh, yeah. The smallest of touches is just enough on these cars. They don't have a lot of grip, so... Well, but well done by Heilmann, letting Vigersu back through, but have they lost a position in that?
Might be very bad for Heilmann there, because I think Vigshu is going to be really, really slow as well. Jan Yo has just made the move on Atta, pushes themselves up into what is 19th place now. Atta trying to strike back though, not going to yet Janyo just disappear off into the distance. We'll see if this 504 can mix up the championship a little bit coming into the hairpin. They're looking for the outside. It's the place to be for the next part, but you do have to make sure you're neck and neck, and it's not going to be the case for Atta here. We'll have to tuck back behind Janyo, and as you said, you can't rely on the slipstream on the straight. It's just not going to work. You have to hope that Yo messes up the corner, and well, I can tell you now, Yo didn't mess up the exit on that corner. Will now continue to chase down Betiety ahead. But going back to the Heilmann-Vigstu incident, Heilmann did the respectful thing. They let Vigstu back through, and as you say, that's what they've got to do. But Vigstu had a pretty hard contact with the wall there. They're not going to be carrying a lot of pace with them, which means Heilmann has to find their way through a broken car. And whilst that sounds easy, in these BMW Cup cars, it's a bit of a tall order sometimes.
Yeah, it really will be, and with that incident, I believe they let Jordan Daly through as well. So now not only Heilmann has to get through Vigstu, he also has to catch up to Daly. So 17 minutes of this race left. We're just over halfway. Wow, it's been an exciting 20 minutes, hasn't it?
It certainly has. I want to talk about. We're going to continue to watch these guys fight for the 8th place here. Simons is leading the pack currently. This is for 2nd place in silver. Simons is leading. Kladky is trying to find a way through him. Borodai as well. Very, very feisty on the rear of Kladky. But we'll see whether this can be sorted out as Phil Roberts just tries to navigate this without getting into too much trouble. But I just want to talk about for a second here, Miguel, is what's happened at the front. You've got Verstrappen and Lawrence fighting for that 1st place spot, and they have been fighting a lot as Borodai almost goes for a move there down the inside to Kladky. But Lawrence and Verstrappen fighting out of the front. Is this the move? As it looks like Verstrappen had a little bit of a mistake and went wide into that corner there, picked up a lot of dirt, and Lawrence carrying a lot of momentum coming up into the final corner. Will he go for a move? No, he's going to take the safe option and just continue to try and keep this gap close. With 16 minutes left in the race, it's the best opportunity here is just keep cooking this overtake. You've got 16 minutes to keep sizing up Verstappen and make it happen, but keep the gap close. Chamberlain, this is what I wanted to mention, is Chamberlain though dropped off about 4 seconds behind them right now. Schaefer though 3 seconds behind Chamberlain. I mean, I didn't see this happening. Schaefer has looked so dominant in the championship. It looks like Schaefer's come to Kyalami's day and just hasn't been able to find the speed, Miguel.
Yeah, I was expecting. I don't want to put pressure on the drivers if they watch this back, but that was quite a dive. Is that a Latke on Simmons? That was a good dive, and well, he might have the position done, and yeah, it looks like he's got the overtake done. As there's more people fighting behind, and Phil Roberts is also involved in that little fight. As now
Phil
it's
Roberts.
this
You're
is
just trying to say outright.
as Martin Lawrence he's sticking his nose inside Verstrappen's corner.
I think
This is the fight for the lead we were watching.
I think this is what Lawrence needs to do now, is they just got to do what I was saying earlier. Keep sticking your nose up the inside of Verstappen. Start messing up the flow. Verstappen's had 12 laps to get into a momentum here. Lawrence has continued to stay behind for those 12 laps, but now what Lawrence does, stick your nose up the inside, go for moves around the outside. Just do this. Keep weaving around. Put Verstappen on his toes a little bit. Then Verstappen starts making mistakes. The momentum gets broken, and that's Lawrence's chance to take advantage and strike back. All this time as well, where they're fighting, Chamberlain catches up, and we have a 3-place fight for the lead. So I think that is what we're going to see as we're coming into the final 15 minutes of the race right now. But you can see Verstappen already starting to feel the pressure of Lawrence behind. The last lap been going a little bit wide on these corners as Lawrence has been taking the opportunity to just make the start of moves happen, and that's what it's going to come down to, Miguel. We're in that window now. The tyres have fallen off. They're going to be feeling bad. Cars are going to start to lose the rear a lot, and you're going to see the rear is going to really throw itself out in a lot of these corners. It's all to play for. Verstappen needs to come and check his Chamberlain. Gone for a spin into the wall. Is going to just absolutely eat that wall to the max. We can see exactly what happened here. It looks like they've caught a little bit too much curb. I think you're going to see clip the inside curb here maybe. Unsettles the car. spins, holding the brakes, but it's just going to send it into the wall. Will minimise the damage on that, but Chamberlain now, for the first time this week, maybe under pressure from a couple of silvers. Never mind, that is a huge gap to the other guys behind. I think it's 13 seconds to Heilmann. It's not going to be that by the end of this. It's going to be 8 seconds between Chamberlain and Schaefer, but wow, what a gap that was there, Miguel. Chamberlain, despite having a big spin, had all of the time to recover there.
Yes, there was about an 8-second gap between Heilmann and Schaefer. And the top three, they just drove away from the rest of them, the rest of everyone. So, now Chamberlain, yes, he had an accident, just as you mentioned. The rear tires starting to go off. Maybe people would start to maybe spin, and well, that was the commentator's curse in full effect, I believe.
That is the commentator's curse. It's how it happens. We talk about a car, we talk about the car that's doing really well, and then it all comes back and bites them. And Chamberlain now still in first place in Split. I don't think we'll be too upset, but we'll be maybe a little disappointed if they don't know how race 2 will turn out for them. As Borodai's gone and spun Hladky out ahead, caught the rear of Hladky, and then bumped into them as well. We'll slow down, make sure Hladky gets going. Don't think Borodai had much of a choice there, though, to be honest. And that's going to let a whole train of silver cars through. Simons, I believe, will now be in second place for the silver pack of race behind him. Phil Roberts. Phil's got to be sweating buckets here. They're leading in AM. They've got a nice big gap to the next AM driver behind. I mean, it's what, 20 seconds? But, yeah, I mean, you're Phil Roberts. You're just trying to stay out of trouble. And with a group of silvers fighting, you're going to be sweating buckets, Miguel. Roberts has got to be absolutely on it for this last 12 minutes and just make sure that they don't get caught up in someone else's trouble.
Yeah, Phil Roberts, he just needs to get it home at this point. Only 12 minutes left. They need to be the cleanest 12 minutes he's ever done. I mean, this will be the deciding race, I believe, for the championship in AM class, and it could go Phil's way.
Yeah, I think Phil here needs to keep this gap as big as possible, doing a great job of it so far, as Borodai getting really close to the rear end of Ripper here. Going to try and find a move on the Ripper. Had a bit of a struggle in the past couple of races, just trying to get as many positions as possible, but has been having to fight these silver cars. Well, Hladky's at a bad exit. He's going to hold up Ripper. Borodai going to try and capitalize off this. Doesn't quite have the momentum to get neck and neck, but is still going to chase down Borodai. Ripper ahead. Borodai looking for a move. It might be 3 wide going into this hairpin here. Borodai gonna just tuck in behind, maybe take the advantage to go down the inside of both Hladky and Ripper as they make contact on the entrance of the hairpin here. Ripper's gonna have to go and fall back behind. Borodai now trying to fight Hladky for the position in silver cars. Who's going to be later on the brakes into this corner? You can't be too late. It looks like Hladky's gone way too down the inside. Picked up so much tire as Mark's going to try and come into this fight now and pick up the pieces. Borodai going to take the position on Hladky, but they're both going to lose the position to Ripper in the meantime. And Mark's going to pick up some pieces as well. And that was how Borodai wants that to happen. Hladky just went too close to the inside and picked up all of that dirt. As where is Marks going there? Ever so wide out of that final corner. Might have picked up a track warning, if it's even possible in these cars. Now going to put the pressure on Borodai. And what do you do if you're Borodai here? Do you fight this or do you just let it go? I mean, we know Marks is ever so feisty in this car. What do you do? It looks like going to just let Marks have the position for now. I think that might have been the smart choice. You just want a battle that's ended on chaos. You don't want to make even more chaos and push yourself back into the battle again.
Yes, exactly. Borodai, his goal right now is just keep the car on track, catch up to a Razor up ahead. But well, a Razor, he's almost 5 seconds down the road. It's quite a lot to make up for in 9 minutes. So I think Borodai, all he needs to do is just keep this position ahead of Hladky and just bring it home. I mean, that should be his priority. 4th in class is still, well, it's still within the top 5.
It is, and I think Borodai here, you're right, just needs to bring home a good result. They're currently 3rd in the championship, but Bart has signed out of this race, so will not be fighting for that 2nd place position. And then Borodai's next opponent, Harley Chamberlain, is up ahead, and I mean, Chamberlain's had one spin. What are the chances of Chamberlain having two? Not overly likely. I think Borodai now just needs to make sure they bring home as many points as possible. They've got a nice gap of about 23 points to Simon's behind. Yeah, I think Borodai's aim here, stay out of trouble for as long as possible. Kevin Boss in the chat says, man, this has been an exciting race. So close over the field for so long. You are right, Kevin. This has been a very exciting race, and I'm glad to say, final race of the season. We've had some brilliant battles in the two races here today, and it looks like it's going to continue. Lawrence still putting pressure on Verstrappen ahead. Ovak in chat said they're close in the AM chat currently too. Well, yes, it is close in the AM champ. Let's see where Janyo is. We know that Janyo needs to be in second place to be 100% secure of the victory. Well, Janyo is currently in 5th in class, so does this mean that Janyo's not in first? It could do. It's going to come down to how many points we have in the drop round. Well, we've caught up with him a couple of times today. We're going to catch up with him yet again. We're going to see if Vigshu first actually can make the move on Heilmann coming up into this next corner. If they don't do it, looks like Heilmann will continue to defend. Well, we're going to go down to Christian Stricker in the pit, see how Christian's doing. Christian, how's the race on your end so far?
Oh, it's been absolutely brilliant. I'm still trying to catch my breath with the battle earlier between Borodai, Hiraki and Marks and Ripper. That was absolutely amazing driving from all three of them. Hiraki going off the road somehow, and then Ripper going in between both Borodai and Hiraki is an insanely brave move, but it all worked out in the end. I thought for sure we were going to see someone crash, but all the drivers made it through brilliantly, and it was absolutely insane racing we've seen today. And as Heilmann actually goes a little bit deeper, that's going to allow Vigasio to get past Heilmann, and these two drivers have been fighting it tooth and nail as well throughout the whole race. As someone said earlier in the chat, it's been tight battles throughout the whole race, and that has just summed out the whole M2 championship. It's been brilliant to watch, brilliant to broadcast, and brilliant to commentate on as well. I cannot wait to see what the final 6 minutes of this race have in store for us, because the first 34 minutes of anything to tell us, it's going to be brilliant as Heilmann stays on the inside throughout Cheetah. That's brilliant. Somehow they both make it through without crashing through Cheetah. That is really brave from both drivers. Brilliant exit there from Heilmann. Is it going to be enough on Vegas? It looks like they're going to go side by side actually, and this battle is far from over, but I'm going to hand it back to you as Heilmann just manages to get his way back. Back to you, Tim.
Well, Heilmann here has been under pressure from Vigsju for the last half of a lap here. Has just about managed to hold it together, but it's helped Jordan Daly catch up with the fight now. Vigsju gone a little bit wide. Jordan Daly taking a lot tighter of a line. Is that going to ruin their momentum, though, into the next set of corners? It doesn't look like it's ruined it too bad, as Daly has carried through so much speed here, going down the inside into this next corner, almost making contact with Vigsju, but just managing to keep those cars apart there. Vigshu under pressure from Daly gives Heilmann the opportunity to just breathe for a minute here. Well, for those of you thinking that Christian has it easy on the broadcast tool, absolutely does not. He has to be the one to keep up with all these battles here, as Daly's still going for a move down the inside. Been neck and neck with Vigshu so far for the entire lap here. Is still neck and neck coming into the next set of corners. Vigshu will have the opportunity to bite back in the next one, and will need to keep it here if they don't want Daly to slot ahead. But it looks like Daly got the move done, will slot ahead here. Well, for those of you that thought Christian has it easy, absolutely does not. Christian brings home excellent broadcasting every single week, and will always make sure that the cars that are fighting are currently the ones you watch on stream. So a big thank you to Christian for not only broadcasting but also tuning in with some of the comms today and helping out. It's been brilliant hearing what you have to say as well. Well, Miguel, one Vigshu and Heilmann and Daly fight later, and now we're going to watch the fight at the front. Lawrence versus Verstrappen. What happens here? What is your prediction for the final 5 minutes?
Well, I predict that Martin Lawrence, he will manage to make it through. It will not be easy, but Verstrappen, he's been making a lot of little tiny mistakes as he went down a bit deep into turn one, and he's making the move on Atta, I believe, in Crocodile. Are they gonna be side by side through Cheetah? No, Atta falls back behind them. Good job by Atta. You don't want to go side by side down Cheetah.
You want to keep it as clean as possible. We've seen a couple of accidents here today already. Janyo as well, not a driver you want to get too much in a scrap with. Not because Janyo's a dangerous driver. Janyo's just that fast that if you've got Janyo coming up in your rearview mirror, I'm not one to want to defend that too harshly. Just keep as much positions as you can, but Janyo very good on the attack so far. Someone else who's good at attacking is Martin Lawrence, who has been putting so much pressure on Verstappen this entire race. These two cars have been absolutely inseparable for the last 35 minutes. They're still inseparable going into the final 4 minutes of the race. And Lawrence, if he wants to get this move done, he has to do it soon. Not got too many opportunities left. Is going to want to try and make this move on Verstappen now. And what is it, 3 minutes 20 left of the race? I reckon we're getting 3 more laps here today, Miguel. If that, Lawrence gonna have to try and make this move happen. And you can see cooking it up is just sizing up Verstappen, has been sizing up Verstappen so far this entire race. They don't have to worry about pressure from behind. Schaefer's 8 seconds away. That is not their concern right now. This is between Lawrence and Verstappen for the final race of the championship. At this point, it's a battle of egos. Who is going to come out on top? My bet is on Verstappen, but I do think that Lawrence is going to put in an absolutely phenomenal fight in the last couple of laps. I would not be surprised if we're about to see a bit of contact between the two of these drivers here. Both of them very, very aggressive and very, very good at attacking into these corners.
Yeah, it'll all go down to how they've managed the tires. I mean, I don't want to say it again, but this, with the car as these conditions, with the car is as light as it's ever been, coming up to the end of the race with the low fuel loads, it's when you're gonna feel it the most. And if Martin, well, he can just hang on there. Verstrappen makes a little mistake, well, Lawrence doesn't need a second invitation.
Yeah, I think it's a case now of, as you said, keep that pressure up as much as possible. Lawrence does not need that invitation to come through, so Verstappen needs to make sure they ace every single corner and don't leave any doors open, not even a window. And the second you leave that window open, a slight crack, that's it. Lawrence is going to make sure that they are inside that gap as quickly as possible. Well, here's the battle for Anne. We know you are loving this fight right now. Janyo, to be safe, has to be in second place in class. Currently trying to close the gap to Betaiti ahead. Well, they have so far been climbing up as much as possible. They've cleared Atta now. They're in 4th place in class. I'm not sure, Miguel, if that's going to be enough. So they're definitely going to want this final podium spot now as we see them trying to look for a way through. The number 51 going a little bit wide and sliding out of the corner, picking up a bit of dirt. I think Atta probably has to put their windscreen wipers on to clean the dirt from the cars ahead now. But Janyo, you can just see this man is in the zone and they are ready to keep this climb happening. Trying to get neck and neck here with Betaiti into the hairpin, trying to optimize this exit to see if they can keep up into the final set of corners. Miguel, I don't know. There's a lot of drivers, I'd say, a contender for driver of the day today here. Janyo, though, this comeback drive, it's been tense. They're keeping me on my seat here.
Yeah, I gotta say, Janyo, he's a fantastic driver, and he can really put the times in when they're needed to. And he's making putting the pressure on Betiati really well, and I think it's only a matter of time. I believe this will be the last lap of the race just as they cross the line, so he really needs to get the move done.
Yeah, it needs to happen now as soon as possible. Well, Jesse in the chat has just given us an update. Says, think P3 will give Yo the AM championship. Well, that is currently the position that Janyo is fighting for right now, so we will see later if they manage to do it. We know Jesse Lee is good with the maths here, and that will be an exciting finish for the AM class. If so, it looks like Atta might be about to strike back at Yo. Makes contact with Janyo going through the corners there. That's going to stall Janyo's attempts to put the fight to Betaiti, and Janyo here needs to get on that podium. Looks like they might be slotting back into 5th. We've only got 1 lap left for Janyo to do it as well, and you can see how desperate he's getting, looking for the inside as much as possible. Miguel, this could be a very tight race to the finish line. Janyo, with possibly the best looking car on the grid, fighting their way through. Well, here is the fight between the leaders. We've watched them for 40 minutes. We're going to watch them go over the line. Martin Lawrence, are they going to go for a move? No. Christoph Verstrappen will bring home the final race of the BMW M2 Cup Car Championship. Going to cross the line in first from a brilliant overtake on the second corner in lap 1. Will bring home the race. Verstrappen going to be so happy with that result. Lawrence will come home in second place. A great attempt from Martin Lawrence trying to overtake Verstrappen there. And Schaefer will round out the podium. Well, talk of the day, Harley Chamberlain will come across the line first place in silver. But that is going to be the fight for now as Harman crosses the line. Fourth for their class, Daly in fifth, Vigstu in sixth. That's how that fight worked out. Simons will cross the line in second. A racer across the line in third in class. Roberts will win in AM, but this is the story we've been waiting for. Can Janyo get back into that podium position? They've only got one corner to do it, and they're nowhere near close enough to the cars ahead to do so. Janyo's going to have to settle for fifth and just hope that that is enough for the championship. Will it be enough? Well, we will get back to you on that one as soon as we find out. Tom Bryant will be second in the AM class, and Batiety with that podium finish for the AM split. What a race we've just had here, Miguel. Verstrappen and Martin Lawrence to the finish line from literally turn 2 onwards. It could have gone either way, and a brilliant job from both drivers there to keep it out of each other as well. Miguel, your thoughts on this race and just how it's gone? What a brilliant finish to a season.
Yeah. What a brilliant finish, I gotta say. This last race was just amazing. For a race that we thought there would be chaos, there would be collisions, it was actually quite clean. We had a lot of fights side by side, maybe even 3 wide at some points, and everything worked out. Everyone was fine at the end. So this was just an amazing race, and I think this is, well, this season really saved the best for last. That's what I think.
I 100% agree. That was a brilliant race. Very little actual contact between the drivers. There was some, but there's always going to be a bit of contact. But most of the overtakes, a lot of the aggression and a lot of the chaos was simply in the battling. And that is what we love to see. Jesse Lee's cracking me up. As it's put in the chat, I'll be honest, I have no clue who I am. I don't think any of us do. We are all currently trying to work out who is the winner in AM. Is it Phil Roberts or is it Jan Yo? Well, Phil Roberts won the race, as you can see, but will it be enough to get the overtake on Jan Yo? We will let you know as soon as possible. Well, we've heard from them a couple of times so far in the race, and I'm delighted again to say we will be passing to Christian once more. Christian Stricker, well, let me know your thoughts on that race. How has it been from your perspective?
I have never seen a finish like that before in my life. That was insanely exciting at the end. Janjo, all he had to do was get that P3 position to guarantee his championship. Atta, in the last lap, decides to make his championship hopes basically dwindle away, and now fights back into turn 1 to Janjo. Janjo, has to give up the position and goes down into 5th. And we don't know if he's actually won the championship or not. We have to wait to see with the drop round results to see what happens. Harvey Chamberlain, another victory in silver class, even with that spin, has just been miles ahead of the rest of the silver pack today, and has been entertaining to watch. Phil Roberts, I said he was my driver of the day early on in the race. This time around, getting that P11 overall and getting the P1 in class, it sort of confirmed that driver of the day for me. He's had a brilliant drive through the field and has kept his calm, collective, cool mind under control and managed to take home a P1 victory that could have potentially secured him the AM championship as well. Verstrappen and Lawrence fighting tooth and nail until the very end. I think Verstrappen had a little bit of more pace than Lawrence, but they were very close, but it just wasn't enough for Lawrence today, and he had to settle for that P2 position. And the fight in the midfield as well has been nothing but entertaining, brilliant to watch, brilliant to broadcast. I can't stress this enough. What an amazing championship we've just had.
It's been absolutely phenomenal. I'd like to take a moment to thank both of you for joining me the entire championship. Thank you, Christian Stricker. You've been amazing on the broadcasting tool, always catching the fights exactly when they're happening. And thank you so much for adding your commentary as well into this race too. Miguel, it's been an absolute pleasure hosting this championship with you. I think it's the first time we've worked together, but it's been absolutely brilliant, and I cannot wait to work together again with you in the future. It's been an absolute pleasure commentating you, and what a championship from all of the drivers as well. You've all been brilliant. It's just, from start to finish, it's been phenomenal. The racing from these cup cars, the best racing I think I've ever seen when commentating. It's absolutely phenomenal championship. And Miguel, I'm excited to hear your thoughts on how the championship went, because personally, I think this might have just been my favourite championship I've seen so far.
Yeah, this has just been amazing to watch. Unfortunately I did miss a race due to work, but wow, for an opening season with a car that no one had driven, I mean, this was just amazing to see from every driver. We had battles up and down the field, every single class. You had fights for the podiums, for the wins. I mean, it was just amazing to see. And every driver, I think they all did an exemplary job of how to drive a car well. Race one, Suzuka, no one really knew what to do with the cars still. But as the races went along, people started to understand the car, how to drive it, how to treat it. And it's really paid off. We've had an amazing season. And I believe that this last race, it was the best yet. It was the best race we've had yet. So, yeah, an
It's
amazing season with an amazing car. And hopefully, we'll be able to do it again.
It's been a brilliant season. I've loved it from start to finish. Well, for those of you in chat who are excited to know the exact results, we'll be bringing them to you shortly. We've got someone working on them in the background right now, but unfortunately for you, that means you've got to listen to some good old Tim Peck RCI waffle until then. But I will be taking some things out of the way beforehand. Of course, we've just finished this Thursday championship. We will be back with you soon at some point. We are still working out the logistics for what we want to do next. But if you do not want to miss out on the next championship, even if you want to compete in the next championship, that is 100% possible. You can go over to our website. It's racerci.com. And you can look at all the championships we run. You can enter into some of them. And then you can also look at results, the calendar, and everything that's coming up as well. So I 100% recommend checking all of that out. I'd also like to take the opportunity now to mention our partners that help us to provide these streams and help us make these championships possible. We have racedepartment.com. They are your source of sim racing news and mods. AK Informatica, they provide our server solutions. Driver61.com, you can get 25% off your driver coaching by using our discount code. The link is in the description. Go to driver61.com to redeem it. And if you want to be as good as a lot of the drivers that we have seen today, if you want to be involved in that racing, fighting at the front with Lawrence and Verstrappen, then you will be benefiting from driver61.com. Fanatec, they are your one-stop shop for the best in racing equipment on the market. We've got an affiliate link that's in the description below. It won't cost you anything, and it helps us with the server cost as well. And simracing.gp, if you are tired of public lobbies, then join the simracing.gp for quality community-based sim racing content. It's completely free. You can sign up today. You just hop right into racing with them, and you don't have to deal with the public lobby shenanigans that you usually get. Well, I believe we may have just had the standings in. I believe Christian is going to put them up on the screen in a second here, but I can tell you now it has been a very exciting end to the championship. Just going to wait for them to come up now. Here's the pro standings and how they stand. Robin Schaefer with 380 points won this championship, so big congratulations to Robin Schaefer. You are the champion of the first ever BMW M2 Cup season at RCI. Martin Lawrence, second place. Benjamin Heilman, with some consistent performance, will bring it home in third place. Pedro Marks in fourth and Ripper in fifth. What a brilliant championship we've had so far in Pro. And we're going to have a look now at what the Silver Championship looks like. And I think it's safe to say Harley Chamberlain most likely won that one. Did indeed. Harley Chamberlain, 310 points, will win, be your champion for the Silver Split in the Cup Car Championship. Borodai will come home in second place after a brilliant performance today. And Max Simons, third place, will round out the top three, just 2 points behind Borodai. That is all that was in it for the Silvers for that final spot. And now, what we've all been waiting for, who won in that AM class? Gonna bring up a drum roll here. I'm not sure I can make one because I don't think my mic will pick it up. I think it will mute it, but make the drum roll in your head. Everyone build it up now. Your winner for the AM class was... Janyo. Janyo brought it home 9 points ahead of Phil Roberts. Their drop round was, of course, the one they signed out of. Enough points, though, in the rest of the championship to just keep it ahead by 9 points. Phil Roberts will be second. Tom Bryant, third place, but a brilliant world job to Jan Yo there. Absolutely phenomenal championship, and I'm sure will be so happy with how that season has gone for them so far. Well, Miguel, I'm going to pass back to you for a second here whilst I prepare the next talk about the championship that's coming up. But those are the final standings. We've had Schaefer, the champion of Pro, Chamberlain, the champion of Silver, and Janyo will be the champion of AM. Miguel, what a season it's been, and a big well done to those drivers.
Yeah, it's been an amazing season, and well done. Congratulations. They all deserve it. I mean, the quality of driving we've seen, and it's just amazing. I mean, you saw on those standings how close the points were at the top and all the way down to the bottom. It was so close. In AM, I did see that there were 3 people with the same points in 5th place. I mean, that's just crazy.
Wow.
How over a season you can manage to do that. It's just amazing. I mean, it's for an inaugural season, this has been amazing to watch, amazing to commentate, and amazing to see.
Well, we will be back with a new season on Thursdays. It'll be the season 8 of the Thursday Championship. We're not 100% sure we will run yet, but keep your eyes on the website to see what cars we will be running and what championship it will be. Personally, I'm down for a whole nother round of Cup cars because that was so much fun. Friday, tomorrow, we will be hosting the... no, it's not tomorrow, actually. It is the following Friday. We'll be back on May 20th, Friday, for the Friday GT3 Championship. That is with Stewie, Jesse Lee, and Ryan Mawson. The reason we're not back tomorrow, the Friday Championship, it's the big event of the weekend that we've all been waiting for. Spa 24 hours. I know a lot of you are going to be competing in this race. We hope we're going to see a lot of you as well in the chat when you're not racing. It's going to be a brilliant event. You'll have all of the commentators from RCI on at some point. All of the broadcasters will be there too. And it will be there for the full 24 hours. That starts at 3 o'clock UTC on Saturday, the 14th of May. Do not miss it. And just to make sure you don't miss it, make sure you hit that bell notification to know as soon as we go live. It's going to be a brilliant event. It's what we've been hyping up for the entire year. 24 hours of Spa. And I mean, what a track to do it on as well. Spa's an absolutely beautiful track. It was voted for by you guys as well, so absolutely do not miss out on that. Tune in at some point. Well, after the 24 hours of Spa, we won't be running Night Owl this week because we've got the 24 hours of Spa on. That will be running at the same time, so Night Owl is going to be starting back up on May the 21st. Night Owl Season 10, that will be with Ryan Mawson on the broadcast. Jesse Lee and Ted will be your commentators for the Night Owl event. The Monday Championship has just ended as well. We'll be starting that back up on May the 23rd. That'll be the Monday British Masters. It'll be brought to you by Mawson on the broadcast. Ryan Gill will be leading the comms, and Dalton will be on the co-comms for the Monday British Masters event. So, a bit of a break. We're going to have a week break from the racing, but in the meantime, we've got the 24 hours of Spa. If you want to shout out about it on Twitter, use the hashtag RCI24HR hashtag. Shout it out on Twitter, share all your tweets, give every one of your friends a notification. It is an event you will not want to miss. I can't wait for it. All of us commentators as well will be driving our own individual splits when we're not commentating too. Please come join us. It's going to be brilliant. Well, it's time to wrap up. Like I said, if you want to catch any of these championships, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video if you've enjoyed today's race, and also hit that bell icon so you will be informed as soon as we go live. Can't wait to see you all in the next championship, and I can't wait to talk to some of you during the 24 hours of Spa this Saturday. And again, a big thank you to both of you, Miguel and Christian Stricker, for the work in the championship so far. It's been an absolute pleasure having you all here, and I hope I'll get to see you all next time. And thank you in the chat for joining us as well. We'll see you all next time, and hopefully see you Saturday at Spa. Goodbye.
Have a good one.